Since this movie has a number of hot nurses in it, and it's called The Hot Box, I'm going to try real hard not to make some lewd joke about genitalia. It won't be hard, it's low-hanging fruit. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rap, and today I'm taking a look at The Hot Box from 1972. This comes to us from creative team including Jonathan Demme and Joe Viola, who would team up again the following year in 1973 to make Black Mama, White Mama, which I talked about already. The White Mama in Black Mama, White Mama was the lovely Margaret Markov, and she's also the star of this movie, so let's check her out. Let's check the movie out. We open on some kids playing in the water. That water doesn't look too clean, and maybe because of that, one of the boys starts holding his stomach. A man takes him into a shack. A different boy is brought into a hospital, and when I first watched this, I was really confused because I thought it was the same boy, but it's not. It's a different boy. We've got this rich boy in the hospital and this poor boy in the shack. But anyway, there with the rich boy in the hospital is Margaret Markov, here playing a nurse. So we get a little nurse-sploitation mixed in with our women in prison film. There's a bit of cutting back and forth between Shack Boy and Hospital Boy, and Shack Boy dies, and Margaret Markov tells the minister that his boy will be just fine. Oh man, is this movie going to have some kind of message? Yeah, it is. But don't worry too much. Unlike the enlightened films of today, the message here is delivered by hot naked nurses. I can get behind that. So, the man who tried to save the boy in the shack, he walks through the credits. Script by Jonathan Demme, and yes, that is the one you're thinking of. Before he was an Academy Award winner, Demme made exploitation films for Roger Corman. After the credits, a couple of nice-looking ladies, who are all nurses from America, are hanging out on the beach with some local friends. And then some armed locals show up and they shoot one of those local boys, and then they tie up all the women, and then they tie up the men to a boat, and then they push the boat out to sea. Back in another part of the movie, the man we saw earlier with the shack boy has had an accident. Or has he?
Senor, my card. I have an accident.
Don't you know there is a 10 peso fine for obstructing a thoroughfare?
Would you give your Jeep to the Revolution? I thought not.
Oh, so he's some sort of revolutionary. Meanwhile, back with the nurses, the kidnappers are starting to get a bit rough. And then they are saved by that revolutionary. Oh, our two stories have come together. Always nice when that happens. The revolutionary tells our nurses that the revolution needs their services. Or they can go with the brutes who are getting rough. Being smart, they decide being his prisoners is preferable. And when they get to camp, since this is a kind of women in prison movie, the first thing they do is take a shower. Except there are no showers here in the jungle, a river will have to do. Naturally, and with a big emphasis on natural, there's a lot of this I can't show you on YouTube.
No fair.
But of course, we don't have to stay here. You can now support the channel on Patreon for $1 a month. Upgrade to $3 a month and get access to uncensored versions of my reviews. The link is in the description, and your support is very much appreciated. And speaking of supporting the channel, have you subscribed to the channel? If not, you should do that. Go ahead, do it right now. Tickle that subscribe button, I'll wait. Thanks. So, a revolutionary, he's called Flavio, by the way, he tells the nurses exactly what he wants. He wants them to train some of his people to be medics and to set up a field hospital. The nurses say that this is impossible, and he says they can either do it or be shot. He gives them one day to decide. The next day, after waking up naked in their hammocks, it's hot in the jungle, you see, so very, very hot. Anyway, they get up and they get ready, and then they steal a truck and try to escape. Their attempt fails, and Flavio tells them that they can either return with him and help with that hospital plan, or they can be forced into prostitution. So I guess the other option isn't to be shot anymore. That offer is off the table. So let's train some medics. First, they need medical supplies, so the revolutionaries raid a medical supply depot. The nurses tell them which boxes to steal. It's not a bad action scene, really. The squibs look pretty good, and they knock over this tower. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Story-wise, the revolutionaries lose a few members, but they gain a lot of medical supplies. Some of the nurses start to feel sympathy for the plight of these revolutionaries.
What these people are doing is right, and they deserve our help.
Not all of the nurses are on board, though, and they convince Margaret to make another escape attempt. And it works. Until it doesn't. They find themselves in an out of the frying pan, into the fryer kind of situation. So, will they be able to escape these new captors? Maybe with the help of their old captors? That would be pretty weird. But that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Well, this movie delivers pretty much what you would expect from a New World Pictures jungle prison movie. We've got a fair bit of sexy nakedness and a fair bit of the old ultra-violence. And to a certain extent, this film kind of goes a little bit beyond our expectations in that the women here are all drop-dead gorgeous. Some of these jungle pictures are populated by, well, I would never complain about anyone who disrobes for a movie, but let's just say it's really hard to compete with Margaret Markov, and here there are 3 other women who hold their own. But beyond the hot ladies and the fun shootouts, the movie's not perfect. Like a revolutionary polishing his gun, this film has some shortcomings. Well, this movie takes itself pretty seriously, which gives it kind of a weird vibe. It's too trashy to be a serious movie, and it's too serious to be a fun, trashy movie, so it's in this awkward place somewhere in the middle. And story-wise, I really didn't buy that some of the nurses would come on board with the revolutionaries. I mean, the revolutionaries treated them pretty badly. I mean, even aside from the kidnapping. And after that, they're going to be sympathetic to the cause? No, I don't think so. Not even a little bit. I mean, I guess they could have gotten away with a story like that, but, I mean, they would have had to have at least made Flavia way more charismatic and nice, which they didn't, so no, it doesn't really work for me. Overall, I wouldn't say this is a bad movie. I mean, there are way worse women in jungle prison movies out there. Just align your expectations. You're going to get some hot women who sleep naked and bathe in a river, and some people are going to get shot. All good stuff. But you're not going to get a whole lot of that campy fun, which is really too bad. As a final note, it's kind of weird that this movie is called The Hot Box, but there is no hot box in this movie. But there will be one in the team's next movie, Black Mama, White Mama, and they put it to good use when our mamas, Margaret Markov and Pam Grier, have to share it. Ho ho ho, mamas.